Hi, everyone, and welcome to part two of our podcast series with the owners of Little Pumpkin Decorators based in South Charlotte. We have with us Christine Davis and Ashley Bunn, the co-founders and co-owners. Welcome, ladies.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Absolutely. So, in the first one, we talked about kind of your journey to this and your why. And I love everything you guys, you put so much genuine thought into your model as moms, as people that are still ambitious and have a creative outlet. So, I love all that. So, let's today, I'm looking at your website, and I'd love for you to really walk us through your business model. Can you walk us through what a typical project looks like from beginning to end? Ashley, you want to share that?
Sure. So typically the client will book the package, and there are typically some questions that they ask because they're not really sure. So we get some pictures of their house, and then we kind of decide what would look best. And then our kids help us pick the pumpkins. So we'll kind of guide them, like, we need 20 white or 30 yellow or whatever, and they help pick. And then we load up the truck, and there may be a child with us,
Mhm.
and we go to the house and we start decorating. We've already have a plan as to where we're going to put the pumpkins and how we're going to decorate them, but once we get there, it does change a little bit because the house is different than you see in a picture. Maybe the stairs are a little wider. Maybe the sun's coming from a certain way or whatever, different variables. So we kind of assess all that, and then we just kind of start putting the display out, and then we let the client know we're done, and then they come out and they are just like, oh my
Done.
god,
Yeah.
like they're always so
The
blown
big
away.
reveal.
Yes, and I'm always like, oh god, I hope they like it. And then they're like, oh, this is amazing, and they're just so much more excited, which I think Christine and I both love that so much. And like the husbands like it, and the kids
Yeah.
like it, and it's I don't know, it just brings a lot of joy, and
Sure.
it seems to kind of create more like family connection. So that's our favorite, or that's my favorite part. And then I just check it. We check in with them like every so often to just make sure everything's good. And then if they decide to have us pick up the pumpkins, we'll go back and pick them up at the end of the season. And there are weeks that we do that, so they would pick that time. And then we load them up and we take them to local farms in Charlotte. And then the pumpkins are treats for the animals. So, you know,
Wow.
yeah. The
I
kids
love
love that.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
the customers love that. It's just kind of full circle.
So, Christine, describe the process. Okay, I'm interested in what you guys have to offer. What do I do now?
So this year we put a lot of processes and systems in place. That's kind of like where where my expertise comes in. Ashley's like the designer and really focused on the art, and I'm kind of put into to process and support the business. So we have a website this year, which is awesome. We put together 4 different packages in terms of sizes. So we've got our mini package all the way up to the grand pumpkin. So
I love
think,
that. The
a
great.
little, yeah. So if you have like, three or four steps and they're kind of narrow, you're probably going to want the mini. But if you've got a nice large landing, even like just a couple steps on the landing, and you can really do a nice display of like with hay bales and different heights, you're going to want the grand pumpkin. And then we've got a couple in between. We've got the spice and the patch. So we've got, a range in sizes for everybody's budget and everybody's desired outcome. And then we've also got 3 palettes. So when they go onto our website, they choose the size that they like. And then the palettes. So we've got the vintage, which is kind of those muted fall colors, heirloom pumpkins, primarily a few little maybe we'll use the white pie pumpkins and things like that. And that really, we find that that palette really goes well with a white house. It could be on any house, but you know, that looks particularly nice. We've got the vibrant, which is those big colors of fall. So we, you know, there's yellows and greens and orange and, you know, all the colors that you kind of think of, from pumpkins to gourds. We'll use big gourds and small gourds and big pumpkins, small pumpkins. And then we've got our classic, which is that orange, green, and white. And so those really give the ability for you to kind of customize what works best for you and your family and what you desire. And then we've got some add-ons as well. So we have 3 of our packages come with hay bales because they're larger. So we would want to have like opportunity to have some height on some of those pumpkins. And then you can add on mums, and mums really completes the look. I have to tell you that that is, if you don't go with mums, you might, you know, regret it. I'm just because it really, like, you'll notice from our gallery, we've got some that have mums, some that don't. But in my opinion, it just really, you know, mums really speak to fall. So we've got that as an option to add on to your package. And then we've also got where we're offering that grand prize pumpkin, which is that huge one. If you like to go big, this is the big,
Yeah.
Big
trust me,
one.
it's very big. um, and then we've got also, depending on how your yard is and you know, how your display desires are, you know, if you have like an island kind of space and your landscaping, we offer a harvest, fall harvest add-on where we'll put an additional display in one of your like maybe it's by a tree that kind of sits off of your driveway. There's different options there. So we've got like a lot of ways for you to customize your look. So even if your neighbor books with us and you book with us,
Oh, good
you
point.
won't get the same display. So we've really tried to think through of ways that we can make our clients feel like they have control over the design process. And then they can always reach out to us if they don't know what would look good. And we'll be confirming the bookings the week prior. So we're going to do we'll Google their address, get a street view. If we notice like, hey, you might have booked something too big, believe it or not, that can happen, right? So we show up and it's a very small porch, but they're like, oh no, I need the grand pumpkin. So we want to make sure that they realize like, hey, this might, you know, you might be having to trip over pumpkins to get to your front door, or, you know, like, you know, we want to make sure you know, we're transparent, right? So we might, or if we notice like, hey, you've got this massive porch but you only book the mini, you might regret not upgrading because it will, you know, the pumpkins will basically be hidden, or you know, it won't look like much. So we'll want to confirm that with our client
So
just so they know.
what comes to mind with me right now is, oh my gosh, now I got to have a party because my front door looks so good. Now,
Yes.
can
Yes,
you
this
also
happened
do my
last year.
backyard?
Yes, which we loved, because again, it was like more like the connection and the family and the community and the
Yeah.
friends. So they'd have this
Yeah.
awesome portion, like, we got to have a party. I'm like, yes, have
Yeah,
a
got
party. And you know, they'd say, oh, we haven't had a party in 5 years or since
Yes.
whatever. So it's nice to
Yeah.
just inspire that. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
they that particular client, they were going away, I think to Dallas or something for Thanksgiving, but she was like, "Oh no, we have to have a Friendsgiving because this is too good. I need
Oh,
pictures
wow.
of all of my girlfriends around this display on by my front door." So it was really awesome. But she walked outside and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you just like changed my whole holiday."
Well, I love that. So, what are some of the misconceptions you guys run into? And I don't know which one of you should answer this, but you've got this new client. You've talked about, they might think too small or too big. So, what are these misconceptions?
Ashley, you take that.
I think when they understand how many pumpkins each package includes, they kind of stick to that number, and they'll think, oh, 40 pumpkins, like that's too much. And they so I think staying away from the number of the pumpkins and looking at the look on the website. So kind of
Good point. Yeah.
deciding what look they like, and going with that, and forgetting about the number of pumpkins. And then something too is like the hay really adds so much dimension.
Mhm.
I mean, you can create such a like really cozy or luxurious vibe with adding
Mhm.
the hay, because you can stack the pumpkins in different ways and you can kind of shape them and just create. I mean, it's just kind of crazy what we've been able to make with pumpkins
Yeah.
in hay.
How fun.
And then like Christine was saying, the mums, they really do just make it pop, and they make it more cozy and comfortable. So it kind of goes back to what you're looking for, the kind of look you want. But
Mhm.
mums are great, and the hay is great for dimension. It
Yeah.
really can create a grand look.
Yeah.
Christine, you mentioned before you guys can do businesses, commercial, and events. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. So we, it's not limited to just residential. Obviously, that's where, our focus is, but we would love to bring pumpkin displays to a business storefront, especially if you're doing like a fall special, or if you're like a photographer and want to do a fall mini session, we would love to style that for you. And I hope somebody books us for a fall wedding this year. I would love to do a fall wedding and
Wow.
really make that custom for their colors. There's a lot we can do with like just the greens and the whites. Just do pink and black pumpkins. I mean, it's really, I had no idea the pumpkin world until last year, and just learning all the different color palettes, all the different shades, and the things that we can really do with, stacking them and making big, it's, I really hope that we get one this year, because I would love to see that as an entrance to a church or an entrance to their
Oh, yeah.
reception. I think it would be just
Yeah.
fabulous. So.
So, what areas of Charlotte do you guys serve currently? Ashley?
So the majority of the clients are in the Myers Park, Eastover area. And then we do mostly South Charlotte. If you think of like Charlotte as a circle, kind of like that bottom triangle, is where we've really focused on. We can deliver outside of that area. There's just an additional fee.
Gotcha. So, so South Charlotte, like Valentine, Waxhaw, Marvin.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, good, very good. Do you have anything you want to add, either one of you?
If you have questions about what porch or what display would be right for you, you can email us. We're open to getting on the phone. You can send us a picture of your porch and say what would be good. Or, just, take that leap, get on our gallery, have a look. Yeah, we're always available for questions.
Yeah,
Hmm.
your website's beautiful, and you have the gallery. What is? Tell us what your website is.
The link is www.littlepumpkindecorators.com.
Very good. And phone number?
704-840-3017.
Thank you, ladies. I'm so excited. You just, I can see by the smiles on your face, you love what you do. I just have visions of this being just such a big success. Thank you.